All right, well, let's get started today. I'm just suggesting in the chat that people just kind of drop their name and let us know where they're joining us from. This is the at-large chapter of CCOF, so that means we cover every place but California and Mexico and people that are not processors. So we hope that this time to meet at 3 p.m. Eastern time and stretches all the way to, I believe, 10 a.m. Hawaiian time can be a good time for our at-large chapter to meet. So like I said, I'm Andrea. And I have a quarter acre farm and I'm located in Greensboro, Maryland. And I am your at-large chapter rep for the CCOF Board of Directors. And the CCOF chapter system, if you're not familiar with it, it's a way for all the members of CCOF to make their voice heard and to initiate any change they would like to see at CCOF or even at a broader spectrum level. With my operation, I'm a small vegetable producer. I sell produce and seedlings directly to my customers at farmers markets and restaurants. And then we also do some value-added products with our produce like pico de gallo. And then I want to have Joe speak briefly because he also has been super helpful with getting these meetings organized.
Yeah, I'm Joe Kroll. I help out a little bit with sending out the notices. So you've probably seen my name on an email so we can get the word out about these meetings. I field crops in Oklahoma. I have some big round bales of hay if anybody needs any hay. But I'm in the hard red winter wheat belt. And you get emails from me that announce the meetings. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. It's really helpful for me as well because it's as a board rep, I go to the board of directors meetings and also sit on a few subcommittees. So for the last CCOF board of directors meeting, it was November 16th. And there was a discussion about continuing the property search for CCOF main office. They're focusing on looking at locations around Sacramento, California, as a way to be a more central location for people coming in and out of the office from within the state, but also at a national, international level. We also had a great presentation from the new marketing director who is working on a consumer education pilot program, which is planned to promote organics throughout various social media outlets. And this is an example of something that members in the past have reached out to CCOF, asking CCOF to help to educate consumers, their potential buyers, to be interested in organics. And there's also a lot happening with the CCOF Foundation to increase organic transition, which I believe Molly today will speak about later. And I also sit on the CCOF Personnel Committee, which last met on October 17th, where we discussed personnel compensation. And then I also sit on the CCOF Finance Committee, which last met on October 31st, Halloween, where we went over quarterly income and expenses, as well as the various proposed budgets for 2024, which it is now 2024, which is a little crazy. Anyway, the next CCOF Board of Directors meeting will be February 29th. So if you have any concerns that you would like me to bring to the board, please reach out to me before the February meeting. You can reach out to me via email, which is quarterafarm@gmail.com. I'll drop my contact info in the chat too. And you can also reach out to Jane. I'm putting Jane on the spot, but reach out to Jane if you have difficulty getting in touch with me. And that is my brief update. If anyone has any pertinent questions right now, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we'll move on to Alice to give a certification update.
All right, no questions. So moving on, I will be talking about the strengthening organic enforcement updates. My name is Alice Tuson. I'm the farm certification specialist, or one of them. I think there's maybe like 30 of them. Let me share my screen. Can everyone see the first slide? Okay. So welcome 2024, the first chapter meeting. I always like to start out with a brief overview about CCOF, just kind of reinforcing our roots and what our mission is. So CCOF is a nonprofit organization governed by the people who grow and make our food. Last year was the 50th year. CCOF celebrated the 50th year anniversary. It's founded in California, and today our roots span the breadth of North America, and our presence is internationally recognized. So we try to advocate on behalf of all our members for organic policies, support the growth of organic through education and grants, also provide organic certification that's personable and accessible. Sorry. So our mission statement. These are values that we strongly believe in and we try to adhere to every time we make a certification decision, every time we talk to our board members, every time we talk to our clients. The mission statement is advancing organic agriculture for a healthy world. We accomplish our purpose through organic certification, education, advocacy, and promotion. Our vision statement, we envision a world where organic is the norm. Our values are integrity, courage, community, representation of and for organic producers. So what is strengthening organic enforcement? This is a new regulation that represents the biggest change to organic regulations since the creation of the USDA National Organic Program. So there are many parts to this giant rule, and the purpose is to help close the gap in current organic regulations, build consistent certification practices to prevent fraud, and also improve the transparency and traceability of organic products. So wherever there's fraud in the organic system, wherever it occurs, it'll weaken the organic supply chain and therefore shakes the trust of the consumers in the organic label. So if you imagine a chain, we're trying to identify the weakest links in that chain and strengthen them. So why are we doing this? When implemented, the rulemaking will improve the organic integrity across the organic supply chain and also benefit the stakeholders throughout the organic industry. These amendments close the gaps to the current regulations to build consistent certification practices to deter and detect organic fraud and improve transparency and product traceability. Also, the amendments will assure consumers that the organic products meet a robust, consistent standard and reinforce the value of the organic label. So again, there are a number of ways that the NOP is trying to do this, reducing the number of uncertified entities and organic supply chain that operate without the USDA oversight, requiring NOP import certificates for all organic products entering the US, and again, strengthening record keeping and the supply chain traceability. So who's going to be impacted? Well, actually everybody. new and existing certified operations, as well as some uncertified operations. Brokers, traders, private label owners, and importers of organic products that are not currently certified organic could be impacted. Operations who import and or export organic products, retailers that sell organic products, as well as certification agencies. So the certifiers are going to see an increased cost to provide these services and meet the requirements of the new regulation. Some of the other aspects of SOE is increasing the training of the qualified staff and inspectors. So we're making sure that the people who are the eyes and ears of the certification process are well trained within the scope and the field and the complexity of the operation that they're inspecting. So when must operations comply by? Soon, March 19th of this year. Last year, it seemed like it was a ways away, but it's slowly creeping up. So certification can take time. So operations should make sure that they allow a minimum of 3 to 4 months to obtain certification from the time they submit the application to receipt of the certificate. So we understand that this is going to be an ongoing process. There's going to be the removal of exemptions that was there prior to this new rule change. So there's going to be a lot of folks trying to get certified at the same time. And we understand that March 19th, there's going to be, not everyone's going to be in compliance just yet on March 19th, but what we want to see is that people are moving in that direction, because we're trying to change this big ship that's sailing in one direction, and it takes some time for it to change its course. The removal of the exemptions. The following currently exempt operations will require certification. So the importers, all importers must be certified regardless of their type of packaging. Brokers, traders of organic products, private label owners, unless the products are in sealed and tamper-evident retail packaging, which I will discuss in a later slide. Storage facilities will also be impacted. Unless products are sealed in a tamper-evident packaging. We love use of acronyms, so we've got STIRP and STEP, depending on whether it's bulk or if it's retail packaging. So brokers and private label brand owners selling unpackaged produce in non-retail boxes are required to be certified because the retail labeled product is unpackaged. So what is sealed and tamper-evident packaging? Basically, it means that the contents are sealed in a manner where an attempt to break the seal, access the contents, or reclose the package would be obvious. So examples of these on the retail part of it. So like the berry clamshells with the sticker enclosing the clamshell, the zip top grape bags with that seal top where you have to rip that bag open. Individually wrapped cauliflower. So basically anything where if someone tries to tamper with it, it's kind of obvious. So some of those.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
So like, what about, for regular boxes, like bushels of produce, is that going to change? Or are we not going to be able to use the traditional boxes?
You can use the boxes, but this would fall under the sealed and tamper-evident packaging for non-retail packages. So the produce boxes that you're talking about, so the sealed and tamper-evident packaging would be examples of sealed bags of bulk flour, the drums or totes of olive oil, produce boxes with the do not tamper with tape across the box flap. So if it's closed or stapled, then that would most likely serve as evidence of sealed and tamper-evident packaging. But if it's like a flip top container where anyone can open and it's not evident that when someone opens it, that it's been tampered with, and that would not qualify. Does that help answer the question?
Well, okay, like the boxes I'm talking about, like for like wholesale, usually. So last year we sell to. I worked at this food hub, and they sell to Whole Foods in Atlanta, and so we use these boxes, and they're like bushel sized boxes, that you basically, they're like the ones that you fold them together, you know. I feel like it's possible to open them like with and close them, you know, but it's the kind that are sort of folded.
Yeah, the waxed produce boxes with
Yeah.
yes, those would not be sealed and tamper evident packaging.
Okay, so so we would have to, so next year you're saying we're gonna have to use a different type of box.
It
I mean this year.
no, you don't have to, but
Oh.
but this is talking about a storage facility or someone who's further down the supply chain. So if you sold to let's say you are currently storing something at an uncertified facility,
Right.
then that uncertified facility would have to get certified because you are delivering your produce to them and they're handling that
Well,
box that's not sealed and tampered evident.
well, these guys are currently certified, but they would be shipping to like Whole Foods.
Right. So if they're certified, they're fine.
And okay, and then if they ship it to Whole Foods is going to have to use a different type of packaging, and like I guess would that cost them more money? And is that they're gonna try to probably put that on the grower?
No, that would depend on, you know, if Whole Foods is certified, then they would not have to change their packaging.
Oh yeah,
because there's oversight.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries. And as I go further into the slide, maybe that'll help answer some like the bulk packaging issues that you may be concerned about.
Okay.
So see non-retail containers. So here's an example of that fresh produce box that you're talking about. So non-retail containers, any container used for shipping or storage of an agriculture product that is not used in the retail display or sale of the product. So examples of these are produce boxes, totes, bulk containers, bulk bags, flexible bulk containers, harvest crates, bins, master cases of wholesale packaged products, including trailers, tanks, rail cars, shipping containers, vessels, cargo holds, freighters, barges, grain elevators, the list goes on and on. So the non-retail containers are not used to display organic products for sale to the consumer at the retail establishments, but these non-retail containers need to display their organic status. You know, for example, like the rail car could have a magnetic sticker that designates that particular car as organic. The silo could have something, a sign that designates that those contents as organic as well. And then we do understand that there's some items that don't necessarily fit well into a vessel or a container. So like if you have a pile of bulk grain or something, it's okay to have temporary signage. That clearly indicates that pile there is organic or non-organic. So the rulemaking requires, as I said, that all non-retail container labels must identify contents as organic and include information linking that container to audit trail documentation. So the audit trail documentation associated with a non-retail container must identify the last certified operation that handled the product. Now, this is when it enters the supply chain. So if you have organic product on your farm that you're moving around, you don't have to label it as organic, although it may be difficult if you are a split operation to not label it, because you do want to be able to identify what product is organic and what is non-organic. So once you ship that, say that produce box, we'll use that as an example. Once that goes into the supply chain, that box will have to be designated as organic somehow, whether with like an O or an OG, something that is clear for someone further down in the supply chain. So then you're talking about pallets of organic products. So in here you have, looks like juice containers. So if the individual retail packaged containers within that master container can be identified as organic, that pallet doesn't have to be identified as organic or signed as organic because it's kind of obvious. So record keeping and fraud prevention. So the NOP with the strengthened organic enforcement is also going to be requiring some buttoning up on the record keeping. So all the records must identify products as organic, and any operation with organic suppliers needs to develop an organic fraud prevention plan as part of their OSP. Now, the organic fraud or prevention plan doesn't have to be elaborate. It's just a way to verify that you can maintain that organic integrity from the production all the way to the sale of that particular product. There are resources on the CCOF website if you want to read more about the organic fraud protection plan. We don't quite have enough time to go into that. Inspection requirements. So the NOP is going to be requiring a complete mass balance audit during every annual on-site inspection. The complete supply chain traceability audits will help determine how much organic product you sold to a buyer, and you need to be able to document the sale of that product all the way to when you've produced it or to the field of harvest. Unannounced inspections are going to be at 5% of the operations certified. So whatever the number of operations that CCOF certifies, we are required to do unannounced inspections at 5% of that number. Same thing with the pesticide residue sampling, 5%. Another change is that there's going to be a standardized NOP certificate. So the NOP is requiring certifying agents to issue standardized certificates that are generated from the USDA's Organic Integrity Database. So that way, everyone's certificate looks the same. It's all in the same database. Certifiers are required to update it fairly regularly so that anyone who goes into that Organic Integrity Database can view and see the status of any certified operation they're looking at and see what products that they are currently certified with. The NOP is also going to be requiring import certificates for all organic products entering the US. So they're going to be strengthening that enforcement there. So again, the NOP is identifying all the weak links within that supply chain and trying to strengthen that so that the consumer is confident in that organic seal that they see in that product that they see on the shelves. Implementation date, as I said before, is March 19th, 2024. And some things to remember, some are new, some are not. The annual certification fee is due January 1st, and it's based on the organic production value. The renewal contract is due January 1st. And at that time, you would also submit any OSP updates. Make sure you sign and date it. One of the big changes with the SOE is that there's going to be one inspection required per calendar year. So the timing of the inspection will vary from year to year, and unannounced inspections will either be for random or for a cause. And always make sure that you update your OSP. It's a living document. So when you have changes within that OSP, make sure you submit the applicable paperwork. And that way, the inspector, when he or she gets on site, can look at that OSP, verify that what you are doing is in fact what you're doing, and that'll help keep the time that the inspector is on site to a minimum. So the better you have your record keeping, the less time your inspection will take. And a good general rule to think of as you are going through your daily practices in your organic production is, in the eyes of the NOP, if there's no documentation, then it didn't happen. So that record is very important to show that what you did is in fact what you are doing. So CCOF as an accredited certifying agency gets audited. So the NOP can pull any file from a client and if they see that we are not verifying record keeping at the inspections, we get in trouble, we can get a non-compliance, and if it's egregious enough, we could lose our accreditation. So, it's not us trying to be sticklers when the inspector comes out to your operation and said, hey, you don't have records of this, you don't have records of that. It's just to maintain verification that you are compliant and that we can show the NOP when we do get audited, if your file gets pulled, that this is how we made our certification decision. And yeah, paperwork is a big part of organic certification. It's not something that we love to do, but unfortunately, it's part of the certification process. So thank you for listening. There's so much to Strengthening Organic updates. This is just like the tip of the iceberg. If you have further questions, just let me know. There's all kinds of resources. There's SOE videos that you can access on the CCOF website as well. So if there's time for questions, I can take a couple.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
And hopefully hi, my name's Sequoia. I'm out in Hawaii, and I apologize that my video is not working.
That's okay.
I don't know if I'd have it on anyway. No, but I would for this question. So here's my question. So what does this have to do? What is this going to affect? And I hope other people, this helps address questions for you too, about food hubs. So right now we deliver food to a food hub in a cooler, and they put it in their cooler. So nothing's labeled. Our box is labeled in order to, when it leaves the farm, our cooler, but once they get the produce, and they are not going to be certified organic. So does that mean that we have just lost our access to working with a food hub? Or what suggestions would you have?
I believe there's acknowledgement that people are working with food hubs, and yes, they're going to have to get certified, but we're trying to make the certification process as painless as possible. I know that we have further information on that, but yeah, it's going to affect that food hub because they'll be handling products that are organic and non-organic, and if they're not certified, then they would have to get certified.
Okay, well, they're not going to get certified. I mean, this is the middle of nowhere. So, and it's very expensive and a lot of work. So help me work with some options. So if we, here we're going to get into, let's make more plastic on the planet. So if we pre-package, I mean, so right now, like if I go to the grocery store, which is not certified organic, I can buy organic broccoli, and it's got a little rubber band with says it's organic, but that's not tamper resistant. So they're not going to be allowed to do that anymore either. Is that correct? So what is it that we're all going to have to do? We're going to have to put everything in sealed plastic, cellophane, whatever, with little tape on them to show that they're tamper resistant, and say organic on it.
And that's one of, unfortunately, that's one of the issues with the Strengthening Organic enforcement with the tamper evident, the sealed tamper evident proof packaging.
Well, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, even though I am, but if you can get us the information, or if anybody else want this, but especially with a deadline in just a couple months of like what we're going to do, because we're feeding an island, and if the result of this is to make it that we can't feed an island anymore, or maybe we just don't represent it as organic. I mean, are we allowed to sell certified organic food and not tell people it's certified organic? Like, what's our out? What are our options?
There is that $5,000 exemption where you don't have to get certified. So if an operation sells less than $5,000 in organic product, then they don't have to get certified, although they still have to abide by the organic rules. But I will get you information about the food hub or find you someone who knows more about that. Are you able to pop in your information in the chat?
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now. I really appreciate that. So, because I mean, we don't want the result that people can't access good food anymore because we're trying to do this. We got right,
and this is also a similar question about CSA boxes as well. So
Right,
I think it
exactly.
kind of falls in that same category,
Okay,
but I
thank you.
will get you that answer. Anything else?
Molly, you had your hand up. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
I just had a
were.
quick question that maybe would be an answer as well, Alice. You mentioned that tape on those produce boxes could be an option. So if producers are packing up their wax boxes and then putting some sort of like packing tape over it, could then the food hub not open that box and bring it to the grocery store to still be sold as an organic product?
Because it's in a sealed tamper
Because
evident
it's seal
packaging.
tamper evident, like a piece of packing tape over the top.
Right, but that also depends on what else that operation handles. Are they a mixed operation? Do they only handle organic product? Do they handle non-organic?
So regardless of packaging, a food hub that wants to sell anything as organic, regardless of packaging, will need to obtain certification.
Most likely, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure what form of certification. It might be like a group certification, like a grower co-op,
Okay.
but I am not positive. But yeah, because I mean, you think about that box and all the people who are touching it. If there isn't oversight in one of those links, and that link could be the uncertified handling operation, then that is a weak spot where the organic integrity could be compromised.
And Alice, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I'm thinking like for CSA boxes or for more of on the consumer level, if you know, you're packaging stuff like this is like a pint container that is made of paper. And if this had a seal on it, such as Molly was saying, would that be considered tamper proof even though it has like air holes?
This is like getting down this rabbit hole, right?
Well, because these are
Yeah,
the
I
things that people
know.
are going to start looking at, like purchasing.
Right, because then you get into like those bread bags, because there's, if it's a twist tie, if you could undo that twist tie, but then you have to make sure if you put something prohibited, and you have to make sure
Yeah.
that twist tie goes around the right, twist and turn. I think that would depend on where things are stored and on the individual operation. Because like how big can the holes be? Because obviously produce needs to breathe, right? You can't just have it completely sealed, or if you're packing mushrooms in there, it's just going to rot if you don't have those breathe holes. And I think we have to use what's also sound and sensible as well. If I was an inspector, I would say, okay, put that where someone would normally open that box, right? I would put that sticker right there. But you're not going to open, most people aren't going to open the container from where the holes are. And if they are, then it's not going to be, it's evident that it's been tampered with.
Right. Like you would see that the box has been like tampered to be
Right,
ripped
because
open
I
or
could
something.
drop something non-organic in there and contaminate it, but it's like what's sound and sensible.
Right.
I would think that if you have something sealing the face of that container where a normal person would open it, then that would be sufficient. Because I mean, the idea is strengthening the organic enforcement. You're not going to prevent fraud 100%. So it's like, what can we do that's reasonable for the certification agency as well as the operation? They're going to have those bad eggs here and there, but that's kind of inevitable.
Well, anyone have other questions for Alice before we move on to Molly giving an update from the foundation? We have time for questions, so don't feel like you can't ask your question.
And it's a learning process for both certified operations, uncertified operations, as well as certifying agencies, because the NOP has a set of rules. It's it's very extensive. There's so many sections to it. And there's a lot of questions as well. And I think there'll be questions that arise as March 19th comes along and passes. Well, if there's no other
All right,
questions,
since
thank
no
you
one's
for,
typing
yeah.
up- Thanks, Alice. So Molly, go ahead, introduce yourself and give us the update on the foundation and the membership program.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Nakahara. Thanks, Alice, for helping us start to learn more about SOE. It is overwhelming, but I think they are hurdles we're going to be able to overcome, and it is really going to help us organic producers into the future. And before I go on, Sequoia, I just wanted to mention that I'm helping support some food hubs here in California. And so I'm going to email you and hopefully I can connect to this food hub and maybe there's some support that we can provide them through this program that I'm going to share more about.
Fabulous. Thank you.
So my role at CCOF as the education manager is to oversee our organic technical support programs. This is a separate program from certification, and so we provide funding and direct support to producers to transition to organic or to support existing producers to stay organic. And let's see, last year we're awarded by the USDA. We are the regional lead for the first time a huge investment from USDA in expanding organic called the Organic Transition Initiative. $300 million in the federal budget coming down across the United States to grow organic, meaning supporting producers and supporting all of the systems that feed into making sure organic markets thrive. Uh-oh, can you guys see do you just see my screen? Or do you see my slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Just your screen.
Okay, hold on, I picked the wrong thing. Slides? Yes, great. All right, so the Transition to Organic Partnership Program is what most of today what I'm going to talk about is, but you can see these regions so you all fall into a region. CCOF is leading the West Southwest. Each of the regional leads in this big infusion into organic across the states is led by a certifying agency. Although the work that we're doing is certifier neutral, we are not trying to funnel folks into particular certifiers. We are trying to help transition to organic in whatever way works best for a producer. So this big funding is sort of in 3 different areas. This Transition to Organic Partnership Program, which I'm going to be talking about, which is sort of the educational network to support the expansion of organic, paid mentoring networks, so connecting farmers with each other to learn more about organic, increasing technical assistance available on the ground, so making sure Extension knows more about organic, getting other nonprofit and government partners trained up on organic, so there's just more awareness in ag support of what organic certification entails, and then enhanced sort of educational activities, things happening on the ground. There was another sort of stream of funding. Andrea mentioned earlier that CCOF was awarded one of these grants to sort of do more consumer outreach around organic. So different groups around the country were awarded specific money to help expand markets. And then there is money that went through this into NRCS and RMA. Those programs are rolling, though depending on where your state is at, things are rolling out at sort of different speeds, but it's worth checking in with your local NRCS to ask about specific to organic programs that they may have, because there is money to get cost share for different organic practices. So the organic farmer mentorship, this is happening in all of the states. So if it's in the West or Southwest, you can connect with me to find out more about who is running it. I'll share our website as well of how you can plug in, but just know that this is happening where you are. The goal is to sort of strengthen networks that may already be existing. You know these well, likely. You've got a neighbor and they want to learn about organic, or you've got someone at the farmer's market and they're trying to certify organic, and you've been giving them sort of tips and suggestions of how to do that. Well, we can pay you to become a mentor. So if you have 3 years experience managing organic production and certification, you can apply to become a mentor. If you already have an idea of a transitioning producer, so someone who is not yet certified, that's great. You can sort of bring them into the program with you. It's free for transitioning producers to participate. They will receive, a transitioning producer receives the service for free and a small stipend. The mentors, though, will sign a contract and be compensated pretty generously. So it's $3,000 to provide a year of mentorship, which is about a 45-hour commitment for the year. So recruiting mentors in regions where there aren't a lot of existing organic producers. In some situations, we're crossing state lines to find producer matches between mentors and mentees. So if you're at all interested, we'd love to hear from you. We'd also love your help promoting this program to transitioning producers. And so Sequoia, I wanted to mention one of the things we're doing in California is a mentorship that's specific for food hubs, and we could maybe help facilitate something similar in Hawaii if this is an issue for other food hubs. So mentors are not expected to be really technical service providers. What mentors are there to sort of steward growers through the process, not to be able to speak to these very specific rules or interpreting things like SOE. We will still want folks to defer to certifiers or technical assistants for those type of answers. We do want mentors shepherding fellow farmers through the process. So how do you learn about organic practices? How do you set up record keeping systems that work? How do you figure out how to pay for this? How do you, where do you get seed? Stuff like that. Just the sort of day-to-day questions that come up for a producer who may be starting from zero with organic understanding and wanting to obtain certification. And, we want folks visiting each other's operations if possible and keeping in pretty regular contact just so that relationship and network grows. Just expectations, sort of what would happen in a mentorship year. There's some administrative work. So mentors and mentees will need to sort of create an action plan, which consists of goals and a communication plan. Like, how are we talking on the phone? Are we meeting at the local coffee shop? Like, how are we making this work? And then, stay in regular communication. So some expectation around how frequently to be in touch. We want you to do site visits at each other's operations. And if this can't happen in person, there is the option to sort of do a virtual, do an iPhone, whatever, FaceTime walk around. And then go to community events together. So the mentor's role to kind of bring that transitioning producer into the existing organic community and resources that might exist. And like I said, it's about 40 hours of direct mentorship. The mentor commitment is 45 hours because there is training and a little bit of like meetings that need to happen as well. So here is where you can go to apply. So mentors and transitioning producer mentees. There's an application at this portal, and this is the website that was created by all of the regional leads. So CCOF in the West, and then it's Oregon Tilth in the Northwest, and Florida Organic Growers in the Southeast. So we all created this website together. So no matter where you are, if you apply through this program, you're going to get funneled into the right program lead for your region. This is also a place that we hope becomes more of a hub for organic resources and education. There's an event calendar. So it's a great place to check out just to see what's going on. And like I said, it's where you can apply. It's available in English and Spanish and potentially more languages soon. If you're part of a group that could help promote this, I'd love for you to let me know, and I can send you some additional resources to promote through social media. We have flyers, etc. Bringing in those transitioning producer mentees is going to be key to this. So how do we reach the non-organic community? The other opportunity that's not related to mentorship, but is still part of this organic transition work, is that we at the foundation host every Tuesday Tuesday Pacific time, 11 a.m. A Zoom that anyone can show up at a moment's notice. And we have an organic expert on every week. She's also a farmer, and she is there to answer any certification questions that you might have. So of course, we want you to go, if you're an existing client, going to your CSS is always the first choice. But if for some reason there's a bigger question that you have or something that they can't answer, you can come to organic office hours and get some support as well. This is also a great place to send any uncertified folks who might have questions that you can't answer. So the place to learn about this is the CCOF event calendar. It's usually listed there. It's always listed there. Although if you go there right now, it's not listed because our website person is a little late putting up our current things, but they'll be up soon. Let's see. So here's the West, South, Southwest. Each state has a lead that's running this work. So in California, I'm running the mentorship program, but in Hawaii, Hawaii Farmers Union United is running it. Arizona, it's ASU. You can see the other lead partners doing this work across the West, Southwest. And then across the US, there's many partners that are engaged in this work. So the regional leads are responsible for funneling that money down to all these organizations to make sure that this support exists no matter where you are located. So thank you. Thanks for being a farmer. It is hard work and we appreciate it. And there's my info if you want to reach out directly to me. And once again, that website where you can learn more and questions if there are any.
Yes. Is it possible to sign up as a mentor and a mentee?
Yes, I love that. I love where we're going with this, but sure, I think so. I mean, I guess if you were like adding a new scope, you're an existing producer, but you want to get your handler cert, that would be a situation where you could be both, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm an existing producer, but I want to pick up another 5-acre lot that's this past year had Roundup Ready corn on it, and I want to run some cattle on it for 3 years and try to turn it organic and see if there's some way that this program can benefit me to do that. And I also understood that y'all had a grant, but I come to find out it's a California grant. But if there was another grant for transitioning farmers that I might be able to tap into. And
okay, great.
And I do know a lot of conventional farmers, and it's tough in Southwest Virginia. If you say the word organic, they're like, "You some kind of damn liberal," even though all of their grandfathers were farming organic, they just didn't call it that.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying. So we do have different grant programs. I'll put the link in the chat. We have a hardship grant that is available to any CCOF clients. So if you have undergone some sort of natural disaster or other hardship, anyone who's an existing client can apply for that. And that is now a year-round application. So you can apply at any point that the hardship happens. And we have other grants that are available regardless of where you are. Some of our work is specific to California, but a lot expands out of California as well. And so I'll share that website and you can check it out. And if you want to email me directly, or put your email in, I can send you some other resources. And just to speak to your earlier question about being both a mentor and a mentee, it sounds like if you had the time commitment and the experience to qualify, you likely could do both. So you could mentor someone who's a crop producer, but you could be mentored by a livestock producer, something like that. If you have any questions about whether or not you qualify, I would just recommend that you apply, and then you'll be put in touch with the person in your region who can support you.
Thank you so much.
So I have
Any
a
other
question.
questions?
Yeah. So the Sequoia again. So I think this is a really exciting program. And so my question is, for mentors, is there going to be, or is there written material that will support them in what it is that they're doing, so that they make sure they're presenting all the information that a mentee actually needs?
Yes, there is. There's a lot of supporting documents to help guide a mentor in providing excellent mentorship, including training and templates around setting goals and things like that. Like I said earlier, it's not so much about being a very technical expert in certification, but rather sharing your own experience, having transitioned to organic at some point in your career, and your own experience as a producer in your region. Ideally, we're connecting mentors and mentees who have similar production systems and similar production constraints and opportunities, so that meaning, we want people sort of in the same geographical region, maybe with the same sort of product mix, certainly the same scope of certification, so that, because really what we want is mentors to share their sort of lived experience with mentees, and then to reach out to technical assistance like organic office hours when there are questions that they're unsure about.
Great, thank you.
I'm going to put in the chat this specific website where some of those materials that I was referencing are. So different templates and training videos. And I encourage you to become a mentor, but I also, you're welcome to use these if you are doing sort of your own mentorship on the side, which I know a lot of farmers do. Well, I'll share my contact info in the chat, and if there are any other questions that come up later, just don't hesitate to reach out.
I'd like to make an observation.
Please.
I'm in Mississippi, and what I've been called in by the Extension Service and NRCS, because they have been working with some people who wanted to become organic. They had either been to the farm for a workshop that I had, and there is, I guess my question is, these agencies are not getting the information that they need to give the right information out. I mean, I got called in on a meeting where the farmers were there at the office, and they said, Jesse, can you talk to us right now? Because I think they had given them some money, maybe $1,500 for transitioning to organic, and pretty much turned them loose. And I'm saying, and so when they called me and say, Jesse, the Extension Service, they had some questions, but they said I needed to talk to you. And I said, well, I'd be glad to. And when they told me what they had done, I said, well, there's no way you're going to become organic. I don't know, because they were given the money to go out and farm for a year and then supposedly come back. It was crazy. But in any case, my question is anything being done to make sure that the Extension Service and NRCS knows what they're doing when they tell these people that they are, they're going to help them to transition organic? And well, call Jesse Bowie and he can, but they don't have the information.
this is the $1 million question, Mr. Bowie. This is a common problem everywhere. It sounds like that the NRCS and these federal agencies, there's not as much organic expertise as is needed. So there's a lot of catch up. What I can tell you that's happening is that the sort of regional leads and the state partners. So in your region, it's Florida organic growers sort of overseeing the entire Southwest. Southeast. And we are all sort of being directed to, whenever possible, include NRCS, include extension in our events, in our trainings, because we want to support them in growing that internal knowledge around organic. So there's not like they're sort of being directed, it's a separate stream of money, and it's a separate stream that, they're being directed by USDA to do a certain thing. And clearly that is to learn more about organic, but getting there is a little bit harder. And so another exciting project that's happening, and CCOF is going to be hiring this coming year an organic assistance specialist who is a CCOF employee, but is in partnership with NRCS. So they will be in the NRCS, the technical center that's for the West. And I believe we're trying to place organic experts in all of those NRCS technical centers. There's 3 of them that serve the entire country, to start building out trainings for those staff to learn more about organic. So there is some work. It's not enough. And I thank you for the work you're doing to support producers on the ground, because it sounds like you are the local organic expert at this moment. And we're just going to all have to help all raise all the boats, including the NRCS. So I think the more producers that walk into their local field office and say, I'm organic, or I'm transitioning to organic, what programs do you have to offer me? And then hopefully, if we have these mentorship programs happening on the ground level, there are more and more people talking about organic. I'm hoping that we get there, and there is that cultural shift within those organizations. But it is, like you said, producers are being told to do things that actually hinder their ability to certify organic. So extension is start telling them that they can spray herbicide, or NRCS folks are telling them it takes 7 years to certify organic. There's just a lot of misinformation out there. So I think just if we're all vocal about it, and then there is sort of work on the back end to try and catch them up to speed.
Okay, and one more comment, and I don't want to take up too much time, but so one of these situations I was in, I consulted a firm that would assist these people in doing their plan, their organic plan for transition. But so I contacted them, and because it would cost about $2,500 to write this plan. But then when I contacted this particular organization, which is the one that helped me and did a great job, they said, oh, we don't want to deal with that group in Mississippi because it's just too much paperwork. So it got to be a real interesting situation. And I understood where they were coming from. But these are the kind of things that I'm sure people are starting to deal with. When they want the state to pay for the transition fee to write the plan, and then these consultants say, oh no, Mississippi, the people there, it's just too difficult to work with.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It may be because we're Mississippi, so I kind of chalk that up too.
No, I mean, hopefully under Florida organic growers leadership, more and more services specific to organic are available. And if you wanted to share your email, or I could get it probably through someone, I'd be happy to point you in the right direction to learn more about the network there. Jane knows you. Okay, great. I'll connect. I'll get your info from Jane, because it sounds like we'd certainly want to engage you as a mentor in that region if possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for your comments.
So any other questions for Molly or Alice or for me? Drop them in the chat, pipe up, let us know. So I'm going to take that moment of silence to mean that no one has any questions that they need to ask. But me and all the CCOF staff are always available to answer questions. So please reach out if you have questions, have concerns, totally forget what the programs were that were talked about today, with any of the contact info that has been dropped in the chat. And also, if you're just like, I don't know who it was, just a general email to CCOF always seems to find its way to the right people. So yeah, Jane just put in a generic email address. So because as your board rep, I'm here to properly represent you, and all the CCOF staff are rock stars and are always super awesome and happy to help. So thanks for taking the time to come to our meeting today.
Andrea?
And we will be in
I do have
touch
a
for the
quick
next
question.
meeting. Yes.
I do. That
Yes.
feels right in with what you're talking. Will we get a link to this, to the recording to this? Because this was chock full of information that I did not catch every bit of it. No.
Yes. Jane is recording it for us, and we'll send out when we get the recording, we'll send out a email to all of the members, and then Jane, I believe it's also like posted on CCOF's website, maybe.
On our YouTube channel.
There we go. Yeah. But we'll send out an email with the link too.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right. Well, until we meet again, guys, thanks for coming.
So,
Bye. Have a good day. Thanks,
Bye.
Andrea. Happy New Year, everybody.
You're welcome.
okay.